I still remember the timestamp because it refuses to leave my head. November 3rd, 2011, Underho 2:14. Local time. That was the moment the perimeter logs broke. No alarms, no motion warnings, just a clean data line showing a door opening that should not have opened at all. I was on duty that night, reviewing static footage, bored enough to trust the routine. Then the radio crackled, and someone said a single word I had never heard used in that tone before. Contact. I ran outside expecting another false trigger. What I saw instead was a child standing under floodlights that made the entire parking lot look like a crime scene. 16 years old maybe, barefoot, wrapped in fabric that had been cut, tied, and layered with a kind of careful precision that told me this was not desperation. This was practice. His skin was scarred, old scars, healed badly and often, but his posture was straight. His eyes were calm. Too calm. Here is what I cannot explain. The child showed no signs of malnutrition, no dehydration, no muscle atrophy. Medical ran the numbers 3 times because they thought the equipment was wrong. A person does not disappear for 12 to 14 years and walk out healthy. Not unless something inside that building is feeding them, sustaining them, teaching them how to last. When I spoke to him, I expected fear, shock, confusion. I got none of it. He did not answer questions the way people answer questions. He spoke like signage speaks, short phrases, directions without context, product codes, aisle numbers. When I asked him his name, he looked at me as if I had asked something deeply impractical.
I am from Bedding, North Section, 3rd Loop,
he said. I felt cold hearing that, not scared. Cold, because that was not nonsense. That was orientation. Within hours, we matched him to a missing persons file that had been sitting unresolved since the late 1990s. A toddler entered the same IKEA location with 2 guardians. No exit footage, no bodies, no closure. The parents were never recovered. And I remember asking myself something that still makes my stomach turn. What does a child become when the only thing that raises them is a place that does not end? When we interviewed him, it became clear that he did not remember a world before the store. Not vaguely, not repressed, at all. Sky meant nothing to him. Weather meant nothing. Animals meant nothing. When I showed him a picture of the night sky, he frowned and asked why the ceiling was broken. Do you understand how wrong that is? Night to him was not darkness. Night was an announcement. Night was a voice saying the store was closed. Night was when movement changed and rules became stricter. He slept according to lighting cycles. He panicked when the room went silent. Silence, he told me, meant you had gone somewhere unsafe. That was the moment I realized something worse than being trapped had happened. He had adapted. He did not navigate by distance or direction. He navigated by arrows, by repetition, by patterns designed to guide consumers, not raise children. His language came from warnings and instructions. Do not enter. Follow arrows. Approved path. His sentences were fragmented because his world never required full ones. And yet, when we gave him paper and asked him to draw where he had lived, my hands started shaking. The maps he drew were accurate. Not just accurate, impossibly accurate. Loops that should not connect did. Corridors that reset were marked exactly where drones lost signal. He mapped SCP-3008 the way a native maps a homeland, not the way a survivor maps a prison. So here is the question that keeps me awake. If a child grows up inside SCP-3008, learns its rules before learning fear, understands its logic before understanding escape, then what exactly is SCP-3008 raising? And more importantly, what else did it teach him before it let him go? I stopped calling them monsters after my 3rd interview with the subject. That word no longer fits. When I played archived footage of SCP-3008-2 entities, the same footage that made trained personnel avert their eyes, he leaned forward instead of back. He studied the screen carefully, then corrected my language. He told me they were not hostile. He called them night staff, after hours guides. He said they were there to keep things moving when people stopped listening. I remember wondering how a child learns that distinction unless it is taught to them slowly, patiently, over years. He never described being hunted. He described being redirected. According to him, violence only happened when people panicked, ran, or ignored instructions. If you followed arrows, the staff lost interest. That statement conflicted with everything I had read, and yet the data did not dismiss it. Survivor testimony from within SCP-3008-1 confirmed a pattern none of us had noticed before. When the subject was present during closing periods, staff entities altered their patrol routes. They paused. They turned away. They bypassed him entirely, even when he occupied areas that would normally trigger enforcement behavior. At first, I thought survivors were projecting meaning onto coincidence. Then we reviewed the audio. SCP-3008-2 vocalizations are usually uniform. Same phrases, same pitch, same rhythm. But when the subject was nearby, those recordings changed. The frequency shifted slightly. Repetition cycles shortened. Occasionally, phrases deviated from the standard closure announcement, replacing commands with guidance. It was subtle, but it was measurable. That was the moment I felt something cold settle in my chest. Aggression, I understand. Adaptation frightens me more. The prevailing hypothesis became adaptive normalization. The subject did not fear the anomaly because fear was never introduced. He developed entirely within its structure. The store raised him before the world ever could. And like any environment that raises something, SCP-3008 responded to it, differently than it responded to intruders. I began to suspect the anomaly did not see him as a violation, but as a completed process. That suspicion deepened when he told me about the door. He did not describe it as an exit. He described it like a known feature, a place you go when the store is tired, an unmarked doorway that appears only during closing cycles and disappears by morning. No signage, no arrows, no instructions. According to Foundation drone reconnaissance and spatial scans, nothing existed at that location. According to interior survivors, the doorway appeared reliable, always during periods when lighting dimmed and announcements repeated. What unsettled me most was staff behavior around it. SCP-3008-2 entities avoided the area entirely. They rerouted several aisles in advance. Vocalizations ceased near the location. No entity was ever recorded crossing its threshold. That suggested hierarchy within the anomaly itself, a boundary even its enforcers respected. I remember thinking that containment might not mean control, only permission. On November 3rd, under active monitoring, the subject approached the doorway during a closing cycle. Staff entities were present, none intervened, no warnings were issued, no pursuit occurred. He stepped through without resistance. The transition was immediate and silent. This event was logged as the first voluntary and unassisted egress from SCP-3008-1. It should have ended there. It did not. Within hours, post-extraction containment began to fail. The subject reacted poorly to open, unstructured environments. Silence triggered visible distress. He requested signs, labels, and directions. When none were provided, he created them. He scratched directional arrows into walls and floors until his hands bled. Attempts at reintegration collapsed rapidly. He curled into corners shaped like shelving gaps. He avoided windows. He described the external world as unfinished, unsafe, and missing instructions. That was when I understood our error. We believed SCP-3008 was a place that trapped people. It is not. It is a system that trains them. Systems do not end at exits. They imprint behavior. They rewrite expectations. They condition obedience until freedom feels dangerous. The subject did not escape the anomaly. The anomaly followed him out. And if one child can carry it beyond containment, I am forced to confront the question I no longer sleep to avoid. How many others already have?